Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday, so that means Shades of Bravo. You guys, oh, mega. What a great day to be talking about Vanderpump Rules. I've got my weekend co-host, Meredith Constant, here with me. Normally, we're talking about 90 Day Fiancé, Smothered. Soon, we'll be talking about Seeking Sister Wife. But today, we got the Sandoval. What's up, Meredith?
Hey, Mary Payne let me out of the dungeon for a weekday podcast recording. I was allowed
That's
out,
right. That's
but
right.
then I'm going to be sent right back down.
Right back to the dungeon for Friday's episode. Yep.
Yep, that's what she does to me. I am so excited to be here, and what a time as Vanderpump
What a
Rules,
time.
and also
What a time.
the New York Times Magazine writes about Sandoval, which a part of me said, I hate that I'm even saying those words, but
Yes.
another part of me said, this is beautiful. This is art. This is a billboard. This is everything I wanted in life.
Yeah, all the things. And so first, what we need to really talk about is the article. We're going to talk about the article first, and then we're going to go through the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules. Now, sometimes on this episode, I will talk about kind of what else is happening on Bravo, but there's nothing else to talk about. We
have season finales coming. Although, did you see that whole RHOBH Netflix thing that happened?
What do you mean? The Hustler and the Hulu and the, what are you talking about?
No, am I breaking news? No, I'm just
maybe.
So basically what happened is Netflix just dropped a clip from the Buying whatever Mauricio's show is on Netflix, which, what is it called?
Buying Beverly Hills?
Sure, why not?
And
so
Sunset? Buying the Beach?
Selling Sunset.
I don't know.
I missed that show. So anyway, whatever that show is, they showed a preview for it. And it's Mauricio sitting down with his three eldest daughters, Farrah and Alexia, Sophia, I don't know.
And Portia.
Sophia. No, Portia wasn't there. So they're sitting down and he's just talking about, how things have changed. Like it's basically spoiling the big conversation that is happening on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season finale. It's basically the same conversation that has now been spoiled, basically. I mean, the conversation that Kyle and Mauricio are going to have looks like it's going to be with all four girls. But this one was juicy. I mean, this was a great way to promo this new show because you're thinking to yourself, oh, I think I'm going to get details that I'm not getting on RHOBH, or perhaps I'm getting something earlier. So I have to imagine Bravo is none too happy with Mauricio and Netflix.
Very interesting. Well, okay, yeah. So by the time this show airs, this Shades of Bravo, that episode would have already aired because we record this on Wednesday. Beverly Hills comes out on Wednesday, and then this episode drops on Thursday. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, guys. So we don't know what's been said on that episode, but you're exactly right. Having two shows have the same big gotcha moment is not good.
So, and here's my other thought. So now my mind's spinning. You know how people say that Kyle heavily produces or really has a hand in RHOBH and, kind of is able to, hide things that she doesn't want in the show, and she's close with the producers. I would imagine if it's a separate production company, which I'm going to assume it is, she doesn't have that kind of power in this buying Beverly Beach, Kyle. No. If, I'm assuming that she doesn't have that power. So that actually makes me want to watch the show because what else am I going to get? Honestly, this was brilliant timing, great marketing by Netflix. A+.
Okay. Give that person at Netflix a raise. Although I'm mad at Netflix right now because I had my screeners and now I don't. And I need them for Love is Blind because I got to start taking more notes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm only 20 minutes into the newest episode drop and I want to pull my hair out. I'm so stressed out.
You get ready. So you guys, if you don't know, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't because I've just been nonstop talking about it. I dropped all 6 episodes on the day those dropped on Netflix, which was February 14th. And then February 21st, Wednesday, I dropped the next 3. They drop on Netflix. They drop on Pink Shade. Got it. I did it. I'm doing all the work beforehand. And then same. The next 2 will drop next week, the same day the episodes drop. And doing those recaps with Keisha, having the best time. And wow, is Love is Blind season 6 really, really good. Really good.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
You just wait till the end of episode 9. You are going to be
okay. You're
mind blown.
I can't wait.
Okay. Anyway, back to this.
Yes.
Back to this. So normally on Thursdays, like I said, we try to talk about everything going on with Bravo. I've completely dropped out of Potomac. It hurts me deep in my heart to say it, but I
had
have.
to do that. I had to do the same thing. I got to the Austin trip and then I said, I can't do this. And it sounds like at this point from the chatter I'm seeing, basically the storylines are everyone isn't talking to someone else. And that doesn't make for a good show. At this point, you need to recast. You need to make some potentially serious cuts. Because a show can't go on like this. This is not fun for anyone.
And I mean, I was talking to Mandy Slutzker, who is a Bravo podcaster, and she lives here in the DC area like I do. And she too is like, I have to drop it. And it's her favorite show because it just got too much or too hard to watch. So I'm going to need something I will watch the reunion. I will. Are you watching Miami?
Oh, I love Miami. This is the one where I just want to beg people, do not sleep on Miami. It is so unhinged. I mean, there is a scene from their trip to Mexico City where they are on a barge, not a barge.
It seems like a barge.
One of those, whatever. And when I tell you there are juice boxes thrown, there's screaming, there's chicken thrown at dogs, there is poverty fighting, there is a island of hanging dead baby dolls. And that causes Julia, who is married to Martina Navratilova. Yes. I got that wrong once and someone never let it go. Anyway.
How dare you?
So much happens in one little, they make the most out of it. And they're just so good. If you haven't given Miami a shot, go watch it. You can start from the beginning or honestly start when they came back 10 years later. Either way is fine. It's a
that's what I did.
Show.
I literally last year was like, I've never seen it. And I just plugged through and
that's all you really need.
Season 1, episode 1. I didn't start recently. I started way back and I'm really glad I did. Cause then when I saw Larsa, I was like, new face. Who that?
Who is that?
Who is that?
Julia's storyline for part of this season was that she was lying to Martina about going to get speech therapy because Julia is from Russia and sometimes it can be a little hard to understand. She ended up getting opera singing lessons because Martina loves opera so that she could sing to her. Julia is not a singer. Opera is not something you casually dip your toe into. It is terrible. So epic. Please go watch this. If you have time because you're not watching Potomac, go catch up on the show. It is so good. I do not understand the ratings. This is easily one of the best shows up there with Salt Lake for me.
I agree. So I'm also very excited about the news of the return of Portia to Atlanta. That's exciting to me.
Yes.
If we could just get Phaedra, the queen of the one-liners.
I know.
Queen of the one-liners.
I don't think that's going to happen, though.
I don't either. And we've already discussed my disappointment in you that you're not watching The Traitors.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was going to come on to be publicly shamed, but I feel like I know what's going on just because I'm up on the one-liners. Like I love the Phaedra of it all. I can't get into the show. Maybe I'll give it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Maybe I'll give it one more shot. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. I'll try again for you.
Okay. Well, today when this episode comes out is Thursday. So there's a new episode. Get into it.
Okay. I'm on episode 2.
Traitors. So I think there's 6 or 7, maybe.
All right, let's go.
4.
Let's do it.
Whatever. You can do it. It's Netflix. You can just keep, as long as you have the Netflix without the commercials, just keep it rolling.
Keep it going.
Keep it rolling. Do they give you a Netflix? No, it's not on Netflix.
It's not Netflix. It's on
Peacock. No, it's not. It's Peacock. That's why I said commercials.
Yeah, I know. It's like commercials on Netflix. What tier is that?
It's called Not One because it's Netflix. Okay, let's get into this article that was written in the New York Times Magazine about Tom Sandoval and why the Scandoval was such a huge pop culture.
It was a juggernaut. It was a juggernaut. Yeah.
Yeah. So normally now, especially in this situation, because I've already recorded once this morning. I've been just like crazy recording with The Love Is Blind has put me off my game. So I texted you last night and I would go, I am not going to have time to read this article. But
know what it made me think of? I know.
I'm proud of you. And I read it. I did.
Because at first I was like, oh, this is going to be like Sutton and Kyle when Sutton was like, I read the piece in the LA Times about
Yes.
Erica Jane. Kyle, do you want to
No.
know the synopsis? Because Kyle's like, I can't read that whole thing.
What? Do we have to hold it in my arms or read a newspaper?
Listen,
No.
I read it twice. I took notes. I sat with my analysis. I really would. This is like what I do on my TikTok, though. So this was perfect. Right up my alley.
So the article comes out. And by the way, the photos of Tom in the article are gorgeous. He looks great.
Did you see that? I'm gonna disagree on one of them. The photo where he's sitting at the bar with an olive in his mouth and his eyes kind of half closed, and it's supposed to be sexy, but it's very dark.
No.
He looks like a damn serial killer.
Right. The photos are well done. So if we didn't hate him so much, we might be like, that's a great picture of Tom.
No, the first photo is great with the mirror. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the man's in shape. He physically looks good for a monster.
I'm trying to be nice. So we start this article with the New York Times guy goes into, the house that
I'm pretty sure it's written by Irina Alexander.
Oh, see, I just read it and I didn't gender the person in my mind at all. I assumed it was a dude. That's terrible.
It's okay. It's a woman, and the photos were shot by a woman. So female team.
Wow. That's
you go, girls. Let's go, girls.
I like that. I like it. So she arrives at his home, and first thing we have is Riley. Riley, who I'm logged in today as Riley. Riley is, a member of his PR team that has been sent over to just oversee an article, right? Okay, you've got kind of a big reality star. Let me send a PR person over to sit to make sure he doesn't say anything dumb. And if he does, then all right, let's just see if we could talk to the reporter about taking that off, or let him make another statement to indicate what he meant. Because, they might say something stupid, but he has been on reality TV for 10 years. So why don't you then tell about how well Riley did her job?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Mm-hmm. My heart sank because I knew this was not going well for Riley. First of all, you're introduced to the PR person, which is weird. Usually that person is not in the article, and for good reason. They're not supposed to be. They're just
normally it would just be like Irina and Tom had a conversation.
Exactly.
But Riley becomes part of this article.
Listen, I knew it was going to be bad when Irina writes that she thought that the PR person, Riley, 23, was going to be an impediment to this. But after she didn't even blink an eye at the Danny Masterson comment, because Tom also compares himself, he gets more hate than Danny Masterson, who is in jail for raping women, part of Scientology. Danny Masterson, he's a convicted rapist. Yeah. I just want to make sure I had the wording right. And he was on that 70s show. And when she didn't blink at that, you could tell Irina was just sitting there probably like a little Cheshire cat and just...
Riley didn't know who Danny Masterson was.
You know what? I started to have that thought too, because the later thing with the O.J. Simpson and George Floyd comparison, I said to myself, Riley wasn't even alive when O.J. Simpson was racing that white Bronco down the highway. She probably doesn't even know that reference. Riley, at best, was born in 2000 or 2001. I cannot believe they sent Riley out by herself. And then it gets worse, though, because what ends up happening is Riley seems to think that she's like sitting there like gossiping with the girls. And she interjects a question. She asks a question while the New York Times Magazine reporter is sitting right there. I died inside. She also has been watching the show since she's in middle school. Yeah. Not great. She definitely went to for her 18th birthday, she definitely went to Pump and got the goat cheese balls or whatever, and a mocktail Pump Payne. You know she did that.
How dare you? That's Sir.
That's Sir. Oh my God. Blasphemy. I can't keep all these terrible restaurants straight. Right. So it gets bad. And then the O.J. Simpson and George Floyd things happens. And Riley's just furiously texting on her phone because the interviewer is so shocked. This is so shocking and out of the norm that the interviewer literally looks over at her just to be like, did you catch that? Are you catching that?
Is what you're typing to your boss to say, come and rescue me? But I think she was just like on Snapchat.
She was like, oh my God, I'm in Tom Sandoval's house. So the tea is Ariana's no longer here, but some of her boxes are. Oh, girl. She's probably like, oh my God, great day at my first job. Like, can't wait to hang this magazine up when it comes out. But then we know Riley got in trouble because the next day,
yeah.
the interviewer is supposed to go to see one of the pickup interviews in Burbank that they filmed, the confessionals.
Pause.
Yes.
At the end of the interview, Tom went upstairs to change because he was going out that night.
Yes.
And Riley says to the New York Times writer, sometimes he says things he's not supposed to and doesn't even know what he said the next day.
Yeah. Which is, again, that's not going to make the interviewer be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that out. Again, there were earlier times where she should have stopped the interview and asked for a redo, pulled Tom aside, had a conversation with him, like, get your shit together and stop with the comparisons to terrible people or people that you have no right comparing yourself to in this situation. And it did not happen. So, Riley. So Riley goes home and probably pops a bottle of Andre and just congratulates herself on a job well done. But the next day, she wakes up with a hangover because she drank Andre. And she probably heard from her boss, who is Tom's publicist, and said, don't come in today. We're going to call you when we need you. Because the interviewer is, again, supposed to go to these interviews and then gets a call that today's not a good day from the publicist, the boss of Riley, not Riley. We never hear or see of Riley again. Riley is on the milk carton. Riley is in missing, she's in witness protection at this point.
Please let me know when Riley shows up on TikTok to tell her side of the story, because that's coming in 3, 2, 1.
Dear God, I would love that. Because I want to make it clear. This is hard to learn mistakes like this on your first, presumably one of your first jobs, and to learn them so publicly. This is hard. This is on her, but it's also on the people who sent employ her or who sent her without anyone else, which seems like a very bad idea if you know that your client tends to say really dumb stuff. And Tom Sandoval has a history of saying really ill thought out shit. So basically they're told, don't come in. Tom's not feeling good today. And Bravo calls, though, because Bravo has gotten word about this interview situation and this George Floyd. Basically, what he said is he compared pop culture juggernaut moments like O.J. Simpson and George Floyd to what he's going through. It was very ill thought out and it went around social media like wildfire, but people left out the craziest part, which was what his publicist was sitting right there and did nothing to stop it. So we never see Riley again. Bravo, the next time the interviewer gets to go to one of these pickup interviews is 2 weeks later, and they have a different publicist there, a Bravo person. They have an NBC Universal person. I mean, they brought in the big guns.
It said an executive from Bravo, and likely, I imagine, the head of that PR firm. I imagine
they wanted to salvage this.
Who they should have had at the first interview. Yeah, who they should have had at the first.
Listen, it's the New York Times Magazine coming in. Don't screw this up. Don't make it worse than it needs to be.
I love how also they called Arena and said, okay, Tom's not feeling great today. And, we'll circle back, but we have some other cast members you could talk to. How about Lala?
Please talk to someone, Sheena? Talk to someone else and make your article. Please let us help you make this article go in a slightly different direction than whatever you're probably dreaming up now.
I can't imagine they offered up other cast members. Probably they're like, would you like to talk to Lisa Vanderpump? Anything. I also like in the article, they called Lisa Vanderpump, the owner of mediocre restaurants.
That was so shady. They really,
it was.
This is shady.
It's true, but it's shady. Yeah.
It is so good. Like everything about it is just delicious. But you know what I really think this is the part that I actually found like illuminating and it ties into the episode today. Okay. I think that there's a chance that Tom Sandoval would be totally okay with the hate he was getting if he could capitalize on it the way his co-stars have. He seems mostly upset that he cannot cash in the same way, and that unlike Ariana, he actually is losing opportunities because of this. Like it's not turning into something else beneficial for him. And what's also really interesting is that Baskin, who is that the executive producer of Vanderpump Rules? I don't know exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Who?
Yes.
Okay.
Alex Baskin. Yeah.
So there's this interesting quote where he said, in some ways, he wished that Scandival had never happened. And he said it because it made it really hard to film this season of the show because paparazzi and fans were everywhere. Someone snapped a photo in Lake Tahoe, apparently, that we'll see, that whipped fans into a frenzy. It became a plot line on a show. And basically, it's become something different. And it really has forced them to break the fourth wall even more. So I wonder if,
which I love.
Oh, I love it too. I think,
Yeah.
I wonder for Baskin though, if it's like, okay, we can continue the show because of Sandoval, because let's be honest, that show was getting canceled if it wasn't for Sandoval. But I don't have high hopes that it will continue after this season, even in light of Scandival. It might have only bought, you think so? I think, depending on how the season goes, I think it might have only bought them one more season or two, like this season or next season. I don't know.
I mean, for sure, after this season, there will be another one. And I think at least in another season or so, Rachel is coming back. That's what I think. And I think, and Sandoval said it on there. He goes, I mean, of course she's going to come back. He literally said, what else is she going to do? It's sort of like we are the the island of misfit toys. Like once you're on these reality shows, what else are you going to do? You know,
she's definitely that broken Jack in the Box. She's just flopping around. I think if Rachel comes back next season, I think that's a guarantee for another season. I don't know though. I really think that this season or next season is it. I love Vanderpump Rules. I love it. I've watched it all. I even watched that crappy season when they tried to bring in newbies and everyone got fired for racist tweets. I even like that.
Me too. I've never missed one episode, probably watched every episode 10 times. It's my favorite reality show of all time ever.
I love it. No, I love it. It is not the show it started out as. I think the only way they can continue is they continue to evolve and break the fourth wall because these people have really become celebrities in their own right because of the show. They're no longer waitresses and waiters trying to become actors and models.
Well, I liked that the article said that it has become, and I think Alex Baskin said it, it's become a show about the lives of these reality stars and what happens when there's a scandal. And so I like that. I like every so often you will see that, like, you know, with Denise Richards, bravo, fucking bravo. Every so often you will see where they break it and you love it. It's like a little peek. And you also love now what they've been doing. And they did it on Salt Lake this season and they did it on Beverly Hills. Instead of just being like, well, the last time I saw my sister, and they show a clip from the reunion. You're like, now they'll say, when I saw my sister at the reunion. Or they'll say,
they used to be like, when we met up in New York, and you're like,
when we met up in New York, and you're like, yeah. So now they will say, when I saw you at the reunion, or when they say, she went on Watch What Happens Live and said this. So once a show gets going like that, you can't just pretend you're watching someone's lives. You have to watch, and what their lives are is a media circus. So we have to watch that. And so the thing that happened in Tahoe was there were two things. Number one, James was spotted with the dog. So because James was spotted with the dog and everybody knew Raquel had the dog, the question was, is Raquel back? And she brought the dog. How did James get the dog?
I didn't see that. So I'm glad I didn't see that because that didn't spoil other things for me. I didn't even know that happened.
That there's a whole story of how that happened with the dog. It was all over social media. So we all knew that was going to happen. I don't know. You weren't paying attention. And you were not paying attention that week. Something happened with the royal family.
Probably.
But then another thing that happened was when they were in Tahoe was some fans saw them at a restaurant or something. Maybe they were at Wolf, the sexiest restaurant in all of Lake Tahoe.
It's so sexy. We're going to have elk balls instead of goat balls or whatever.
So there was a fan picture and they posted it and it's like Ariana, Tom Schwartz, Sheena, Tom Sandoval. It's like Ariana and Tom Sandoval in the same picture, like on either ends because they were all somewhere together. And a fan was like, can I get a picture? And then they all jumped in. So the people were like, what the actual fuck? They're filming together. So all these things were spoilers for the season that normally somebody in Lake Tahoe taking a picture with them, it wouldn't be on any, they'd be like, oh yeah. So just like go to STIR every other week. You can see anybody you want. So there were a lot of spoilers. And I do think it is going to continue to garner interest because things like this keep happening. And Sandoval being so awful this season and not being able to say sorry, or, I mean, You just don't say sorry. Like Mandy said, you just don't say sorry one time. And also the person doesn't have to accept it. So for him to just be like, dude, I said, I'm sorry, dude. Well, that's no, you should continue to be sorry. And you have lots of other people to be sorry. And you should say what you're sorry for. Not like, I'm sorry if you were upset, dude.
Yeah, that's
what he
the
does.
biggest cop out when you're saying, I'm sorry you feel that way, because that's not actually taking ownership of someone, of what you did and your role in it. I just wonder how long they can sustain this storyline and what is the storyline afterwards.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be James's sobriety? Is it going to be Sheena's fears over nannies? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I get, where are we going next? That's where I get worried, is the storylines. That's it. But I love the show. I am like, I'm a Katie apologist. I'm an I'm all in on the show.
Yeah, I love Katie. Katie can do no wrong. I don't care. I don't care how bitchy she is. I love her.
She's a Capricorn. I understand her. And I think the problem is most of us, I continually forget how terrible Tom Schwartz is. He will show me and I'll be like, oh God, I forgot what an absolute maniacal bastard he is. And then I'll forget because he's like, oh shucks. And he's like kind of cute and scruffy. And I'm like, oh, he's okay. He has houseplants. He's into horticulture. But you know what? No amount of plant love can make up for the fact that his TV is sitting on the damn floor. That was my first note of this episode.
He's lived there like 2 years. Why is the TV on the floor?
Listen, he is 40, 41. It always trips me up that some of these people are older than housewives. Whitney Rose is only, I think, 37 or 38.
They're older than you. Let's just say it.
They are almost the whole cast. Well, James is 31 and I'm 36. So I'm older than most of them.
Okay.
Or no, I'm younger than most of them.
Younger than most of them. You're 12 years younger than Jack. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Jax,
and I'm down
40,
here like
I
have 3 children. Like, I feel like I have lived.
You
Look
lived,
at this.
girl.
I'm like, what are these people doing? But I love it. Don't stop.
So, all right. So let's get into the episode. So the episode starts out and we see Ariana and Katie. So you're going to help me walk through the episode because what a morning I've already had. So
I got you. Let's kick this off, baby. So we get the snapshots of everything that people are doing. Tom Schwartz is working out with his TV on the floor. And we get James and Allie preparing for their first pool party. And I love when you first try to have a party and you're like, oh my God, I'm so adult. And then you realize all the shit that you need because you don't have a grill, because you don't have enough towels, because you can't just bring out the bathroom towel and have everyone share it. You know, and then you realize this is going to be like $2,000 and you never think of it. You never think of it when you're just starting out. It's beautiful. I also
loved it because I want to be like, how many parties has James been to at other people's houses and not realized how much money people fork out to have these parties?
You never think about it. And I love how shady the editors are. They will remind us every single episode that he lives near the Burbank airport by having a Southwest Airlines. It's the same Southwest flight every time overhead. They just want you to remember how terrible the noise is in his house. I appreciate it. So then we get to Katie is over Ariana and Tom's house. They're chatting. I don't understand why they haven't taken that Tom and Ariana canvas off the wall. It's still hanging right near her bedroom. Why wouldn't you just take it down and flip it over?
Probably because they got like art approval for it. You know what I mean? You remember this season with Sheena with all the pictures of herself. It's because they had to take their art off the wall because it wasn't approved. So she just put up photos of herself everywhere.
It's also for storytelling purposes. It's very good because you're like, oh yes, remember what they had. And now it's come to this. They brush their teeth in different sinks. I am so stressed out.
They live like hoarders.
I am so stressed out that I understand they have like a mediator, poor Anne, and I am so stressed out that they are going to run into each other. It feels like a scary movie. Every time we get to their house, I tense up because I'm so frightened of these two people running into each other. I don't like it. So Katie.
Well, I have something to say really quick before I forget. Total interruption. Yes. You said Tom Schwartz and it reminded me, and then I forgot, and now I just remembered. He was on Watch What Happens Live last night. And he's talking, and at one point Andy goes, man, backstage and before we started, you're all like sitting up straight and talking with your full voice. Now you're slunk in the chair and talking in like a soft baby voice. Like Andy called him out because he was like, I don't know, like, wow, like, you think so? Okay. Like, and finally Andy goes, sit up. And he goes, sit up and talk, like, be a man, like stand up. because every time somebody would ask him a question, he'd be like, wow, I don't know. Is that what you think? Like, yeah, sure. Okay. He was so, because I think he's so on the defense at all times. He's just ready. And Andy told him, sit up, act like a man, use your full voice, poke your chest out, stop. Like you
I
need
want
to
see that. I really want to see that Tom Schwartz just to see, because you're right. He does do this. Oh, shucks. I just
but
miss
he
the old
gets lower
dynamic.
and lower and lower because he's ready for somebody to ask him a shady question. And he's like, I don't know. Gee. So, Andy goes backstage. And when you first came out, you're all sitting up and now you're getting lower and lower in your chair. You need to sit up. You need to give your full voice. You need to bring this energy to the reunion. You need to stand up for yourself. And Andy yelled at him.
Andy says, listen, if you want to stay on the show and if you want the show to continue to happen, you better bring it. I better see more from you from the reunion. No more Xanax or whatever you were taking before.
I don't know, but it was great because then he was like, hey, wow, thanks, Andy. I feel so much better. Yeah, I feel emboldened. Thanks, Andy. Wow. It's like, oh my God, dude. Okay. So that's sorry. I just
that was
remembering that. I was remembering.
No,
that.
I'm glad we got that. I didn't watch what happens last night. So
yeah, you got to watch it. Mm-hmm.
I know. So Katie's over and, they're talking about a running theme on this show is places not opening. Still something about her still has something to work on, which is licenses for liquor and stuff. And
will it be open when I go to LA in March? Will it be open?
I'm going to go with no. Sorry.
I'm going to be in LA in 1 month. Can they pull it together?
Are you staying at the hotel I told you? Or did you book that
no,
hotel?
I did. And then I switched to another hotel because I found a little better rate so I could get 2 rooms. So Ingrid and I don't have to share rooms for 8 nights, just 3.
Oh my God. Yes. No, that's worth it. So not that I'm sure I can't share a room anymore. I'm too old. I get that.
I know. We'll do it for 3 nights. And then after that, it's going to be onto our separate quarters. Yeah.
Nope. So what they're talking about though, is that they had the same Uber driver the night before who had taken Ariana home after the March 1st, 2023 debacle, which was when everything combusted about Sandoval when they were at a show of Tom and the Most Extras cover band. Mm-hmm. And she saw on the phone that there was a very, very promiscuous message video from Raquel, and then everything came out. And this is the Uber driver that had to drive them home. Holy moly.
And I've heard them mention that car ride before. I've heard Ariana mention it before on an interview. Like, yeah, we were just in this Uber, Lyft, whatever, screaming at each other, having the biggest fight. And then they were on the phone with Sheena, who apparently goes, I'll just punch the shit out of that bitch. And she says she didn't say that. And then that's when they were screaming at Sheena on the phone. She's like, I threw that bitch's phone in the bushes. And all that was happening from Tom to their house when they live in the Valley and Tom is in West Hollywood. So it's probably a 30-minute Uber ride. All that shit was happening. And that driver, I've never gotten the same Uber driver twice. That is crazy.
Also, there's so many Uber drivers in LA. What are the chances? I want to know though what he gave them for their star ratings. Afterwards, where you're like,
yeah.
What do you think?
It wasn't on her profile or his. Yeah.
I know exactly. How feisty was he feeling? It couldn't have been, I guess if it was her profile twice, then clearly he wasn't, clearly he was okay coming back for more.
Yeah.
It seems like, because I guess they talked in the car this time and she's like, yeah, remember that? And he's like, yeah, I think I drove you here before. And she goes, oh yeah, you did. One of the worst nights of my life. And he says,
Katie goes, check Reddit.
And it's so funny because he's like, yeah, it's probably a good idea you broke up with that guy. He's the only person I think in the world that didn't know what happened. It's like an alien. It's amazing that this happened. He's like, wow, that was a weird Uber drive. Okay, go about my business. Go pick up some more drunk people in West Hollywood.
Yep.
And it just never crossed. It is amazing. I want to find this angel. Ariana's right. Everyone wants to interview him. I want to interview him. I just want to know more.
He didn't care.
How did he avoid Sandoval for all these months? How did he avoid that?
He had no idea. He didn't even know what happened. I mean, maybe he just listens to like a BBC News or
probably
Wall Street Journal radio. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's so funny. God bless him. That was the
I loved
best.
it.
I was so happy to hear all of that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know they were on the phone with Sheena in there.
Yeah, that's all that was happening when
My favorite were
he was telling Sheena, we were never even really good friends. Like, what are you talking about? That's another thing, like a main thing that he said to Sheena was like, we've never even been good friends. Why do you even care? Yeah.
Tom Sandoval was like one of my best friends, and I can't even make a fist. That was my favorite. I can't make a fist. I have acrylics. How am I going to make a? That was so
If
good.
you don't
Judge
think
Judy.
Sheena
Judge
Shea punched that girl right in the face, you have been living on another planet. Of course she did, but I don't even care.
Oh yeah, like listen, sometimes your Jersey has to come out. And Sheena's not even from Jersey, but this is just it's a feeling, not so much a place. It's a state of mind. So we get all of that. And then we have Lala and Sheena in their bikinis going to Lisa's house because they're going to stop there first on a detour to then go to James's house. I am not totally familiar with the layout of LA. I feel like James's place is not a quick little stop on the. I don't feel like Lisa's house is on the way to James's house, is what I'm saying.
My understanding with Lisa's house is you've got to wind all the way up the hills and get all the way up there. It's very remote. And then to go all the way back down and then drive to Burbank. It's a full day of filming for them.
They hopped on the Southwest Airlines flight that goes over James and Allie's house, and they just parachuted out. That's all you have to do. So they're going over there in their bikinis. I was like, you could have worn a cover up, but also I wouldn't have worn a cover up either.
If I look like that. Yeah.
I can't. It's such a false bill of goods after having children. Just so few some women's bodies do that. Okay. Every body is different, but man, that was not my reality. Not my reality.
I know, but you're very young to have 3 children.
I'm 36.
I know, that's pretty young to have 3 kids.
I know, but remember, I lived in the South for a while and everyone was having babies. So I was like, I guess I'll have babies.
Well, I'm from the South, but I mean, I had my second kid. I was 37.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we kind of reversed it. I was like, I'm living in Florida. I'll have a baby at 25.
Wow. You and Ingrid did the same thing.
I know. It's cool now.
Child bride.
It's cool now. I looked like I was on Teen Mom with like my backpack going to work. I looked like I was on Teen Mom. It was horrifying, actually. Yeah. Oh yeah. My LL Bean backpack. So Sandoval, they're having a sit down because Lisa wants to talk to them about Tom Sandoval. Because recall, he met with Lisa in the prior episode and said he was having suicidal thoughts, which for Lisa is going to be a massive trigger because she lost her brother to suicide. And he was saying he was depressed and, you never know that it's going to go there until it does. So Lisa is very triggered by this. And Lala and Sheena are definitely listening to her. They do push back a bit. And I don't know where I fall on this. Like I would never negate someone's feelings. And I think you can be a total asshole and also go through depression, but there's also this part of me that's kind of cynical and thinks to myself, well, Lisa for the show really needs the gap to be bridged a bit to have Sandoval back in the fold. And right now you have half of the cast icing him out and refusing to film to him, which makes for a disjointed season. So there is a cynical part of me that's like, how much of this is storyline going? And also Lisa has vested interest in Tom Tom. She is part owner. So
people are still going there. Don't worry. People are still going there.
But I'm also thinking like there's also money involved and business involved. So I don't know. And you brought up Rachel had a statement about Lisa and her treatment of women versus men. Interesting, that was very interesting.
Yeah, she said that, basically Lisa will champion these guys, right? But when it comes to the women, you don't see her championing them in the same way, right? Of course, she's going to have a vested interest. She's 90%, 95% owner, I think, of Tom Tom. So of course she wants that brand, but she's like, she named a bar after them. She did all this, but Ariana always was the far superior, bartenderess or whatever. It's very, very interesting. But I think in that statement, I think it's true. I think Lisa does stand up for the men more than the women. I mean, look at all the bad behavior she accepted out of Jax and James,
I think she's willing to there's kind of an old school, like, boys will be boys. I think that she sometimes kind of allows them to get away with stuff or feels sympathy for them in a way that doesn't always come across for the women.
And I think that her, picking Lala to try to get Lala to befriend Raquel because she's trying to get Raquel back on the show. And at this point, when they filmed all that, when Lala called her, they thought they were going to be able to get her back on the show. But, we saw in the article, her demands were not met for a bigger salary and a deal with Bravo or whatever she was trying to do. Okay, fine. Now she's got a podcast. She's doing fine. But she picked Lala for that specifically because of the Rand situation. She's like, you've also been labeled a home-wrecking whore, so maybe the two of you could bond. So Lala did it. It's very interesting the way it's shown on the show with Lala explaining that she reached out for Ariana not to completely cut her out. It's because I think they had a conversation before where Lala's like, I had to do this for the show. And then Ariana understood. I think this situation is very similar. I think that they knew they were going to be asked this. And I think she's playing on the weakest link, which is Sheena, to be like, Sandoval was the only person that liked you for years. Everybody else was mean to you. Like Stassi, Katie, Kristen, they all hated Sheena. Everybody hated Sheena. So let's remember back, Sandoval is one of the only people that was ever nice to you. So come on.
I think too, Lisa kind of gives them a permission structure to say, well, Lisa said this. This is not like, this is Lisa saying this, our former boss. But it also is just so emotionally manipulative to do to these people. And it's so interesting because Lala makes the point that maybe some of her anger and frustration is being misdirected and it's actually related to what happened with Rand and she's still not over it. But Lisa can't see how perhaps her experience with her brother, which was tragic, might be triggering an outsized response to Tom admitting how he felt and how down he was. And not saying he didn't feel that way, but also if you're looking for sympathy, it would be Lisa with her experience to something like this, who you would go and talk to and seek pity. Again, I think you can experience suicidal thoughts and do shitty things. Like I think all of these things can coexist. I don't know how much responsibility the group or these individual women have over Tom's mental health. I don't know.
And why do the women have to make peace with him? Why don't we have a group meeting of all the guys? Let's why don't we have a meeting with James and Brock and be like, you guys have to be friends with Sandoval. Like you have to. Why does it have to be Lala and Sheener? Like, why does it have to be those two?
It's incredible that it has to be the women. So I don't know how I don't know how I feel about Lisa even being on the show. It doesn't really make any sense to me. She's kind of there.
At the beginning. It did at the beginning because it was a spinoff and we didn't know anything about these people. And so what we know is that Lisa is the mother hen to these 20-year-old, late 20s, early 30-year-old wannabe actors and stuff. So that all made sense. But season 10, like she was kind of barely in it and good. When she was at the reunion, I was like, we don't need you here, ma'am.
No, we don't need this anymore.
We don't need
cash your check. Cash your check as one of the producers. You don't need to be on the show. And I never know, but I do appreciate that she has new fluffy dogs that she's created in a lab somewhere every time. Donut, I don't know what that thing is. It is a literal hairball and it is so cute.
She's like, have you met my new fluffy puffy? It's Donut.
This is like Donut. I'm like, okay, I'm sold. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, we don't need Lisa anymore. I love, though, that they're no longer trying to act like they work at these restaurants. Remember when Katie would go in for like a shift at Sir or something? Yeah. Like, you don't work at Sir.
No. I mean, I think Stassi was the first one. Stassi, as problematic as she is, she's always been a queen. And, she was one of the first ones that was like, I'm not pretending to work here anymore. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life, is to not have to work here. No. Goodbye.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
So this brings us to James's pool party. And James's pool party will be interspliced with Sandoval and Billy Lee. So I was thinking we could just lay some groundwork for the pool party. get through the Tom Sandoval and Billy Lee stuff and go back to the pool party. How does that sound?
I got nothing to say about Sandoval and Billy Lee. With her just sitting on the side of the tub looking at him like, you're so amazing. And I know you were so sad about Raquel. Stop. You're a fan. Stop.
We'll get there. So James's pool party, Tom Schwartz, I'm glad. You know what? I really like Allie, the new girlfriend. At first for James, I was like, oh God, this poor girl. But actually, she's perceptive because she says, why does Schwartz keep bringing us houseplants? This is the third houseplant. And that's all I could think about. Why does he keep bringing new things for James to kill?
Schwartz, the one thing I like about Allie, and because, there's a lot of stuff going around about James right now. He's had some, anyway, I personally am not a fan because he was mean to me at BravoCon, but everybody's heard that story.
BravoCon?
I can't talk about it again.
I didn't hear the story, but I would like to talk to you later.
Okay. So everybody, you got to worry about Allie a little bit with his sort of history, but it seems like, maybe if he's not drinking, maybe he's better. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with James. It's not always good. I'll just put it that way. But I liked it when he was getting ready and he had the hose out and he was doing something and he almost squirted her. She turned around and gave him a look and goes, stop. And I was like, ooh. And he goes, oh, sorry. Because he really didn't mean to almost squirt her, but he almost got her. And when you just get ready for the pool party and you look cute, have your pool party outfit and your hair's done and your makeup, because you're not really getting in the pool and somebody almost splashes you, you're like, I will kill you. No, I am the host of this pool party with the AstroTurf backyard. Stop.
That was a universal look that every woman has given her partner. Also, I love how many times you said that he squirted her.
He squirted all over her. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. You're disgusting today. Where's Abigail?
Disgusting.
Just kidding. That's a deep cut from Hey Bunky. Tune in this Friday or Saturday for Hey Bunky. It's going to be great. Jan from Worcester. Okay. God. So they're doing what normal, almost 40-year-olds do, and they're jumping off the roof into the pool. That's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. That's a one-way ticket to paralysis. Do not do that. And all those wires up there. No, don't do that. I cannot believe it. Lines.
First of all,
stupid.
I hope he had done that before. I hope that wasn't the first time he broke out that move. Also, do you like Celsius water? Because they like it on this show. Lots of Celsius.
Listen, I saw Alex Earl on TikTok, like the TikTok girl, drinking Celsius. And I was like, I'm going to be a bad bitch and drink Celsius. I do every once in a while if I want a really chemically flavored, fruit-like drink. I'll do it, but I'm not proud.
No,
proud.
Lots of Celsius on this show.
So
the jumping off of the roof. I was like, well, he's definitely done it before, so he knows he can make it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I didn't like Tom Schwartz doing it. I didn't like any of it.
Dude, you're too old for this shit. So it's almost like teenagers throwing a party at their parents' house and not adults hosting a party. I do love though that he made their pool floats, obviously, and he made one of the floats that had a sign that said something about her, like a floating little stand. That was really cute. That was every once in a while, James does something that endears you to him, and then you're like, oh, but I can't forget everything else.
100% Allie did that. Come on now.
I could see you could see James getting into it, or at least bothering Allie while she did it.
He definitely just stood around and was like, "That's a great idea, Allie. Let me go wiki. Let me get my keyboards."
I like it. He's probably like batting at it like the cats. And she's like, oh my God, go away. Go away. I'm trying to make this.
He's like, I've had 4 Red Bulls. Let's go.
I got my weed drinks. I'm fine. I'm California sober. We're going to get into that. Okay. So now let's just quickly go over quick detour to Tom Sandoval and Billy Lee, the only person who will film with him. They're going to Into Misi, which I thought was just like a new age romance, like a love self-help book from the 90s. Was it Into Misi, intimacy? Wasn't that like a whole thing?
God.
Wasn't there a book?
Because my brain is not in the gutter. It did not even occur to me that it meant intimacy. It didn't. So why is he getting intimate with Billy Lee? That's weird.
And that's why I was
they were best friends.
I was confused. Oh, hold on. Did
she say welcome to Into Misi when they walked in?
I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive they said that. And also the only reason is because I sounded out when I saw it. And I just so recall this being a thing, and I've heard it before. Yes, intimacy, mastering intimacy in the relationship you've always wanted. There's like a couple different intimacy. Yeah, intimacy, a book for daily inspiration. There are so many of these. I knew I wasn't just making it up.
So this
Yes.
is like a couple's place that they went as friends, and she longingly stared at him while he cold plunged himself.
I wouldn't know. It's a very weird dead stare because again, she's had a lot of work done. So they're going there so that she can watch Tom Sandoval do a cold plunge. Sure. Okay. Yeah. So
She definitely wasn't getting in there.
no, hell no. Her face was beat within an inch of its life. She had her full
Yes.
makeup on. She had the lashes. She had a smoky eye. Her hair was braided and looking cute. She looked great. She didn't look ready for into me see cold plunge, whatever. But she
No.
is there to be her blank stare though. Because again, there's probably a good amount of Botox and filler in that face. Her face just didn't, it was kind of creepy.
She's like, how is it? How is it? 9
On a
out
scale
of
of
10,
1 to-
10 out of 10. How is
It's
it?
a 9, dude. It's a 9. And then he dunks his head and she's like, oh, he's a rebel. He's in pain. Look at him
cares?
go. So he compares himself. Again, this is a very big week for Tom Sandoval comparing himself to people. He compares himself to Andy from Shawshank, which, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
He was accused of a double murder, right?
Wasn't it that, but he was innocent? I don't know. Am I mixing up the Green Mile and Shawshank?
Shawshank with Andy. Okay, now listen. This is probably wrong, you guys. It's a fact.
Okay, I'm Googling right now because hashtag journalism.
I believe that he walks in on his wife and somebody into bed doing the thing. Now, whether or not he was innocent of killing both of them, I'm not sure. But I do believe that was the story, is that his wife was in bed with someone. Either way, guys, he escaped. He's living his best life in Costa Rica.
And he compared himself to, I don't fully get it. I don't even get that, because even if he walked in on his wife with someone else, Sandoval didn't walk in on anyone. He was the one,
right?
Metaphorically walked in on it. I need him.
Maybe
I need him to learn what a metaphor is.
He's unfairly being imprisoned.
Is he saving up like spoons from the penitentiary and just digging in the wall? Is that Shawshank, or am I?
Yes, that's Shawshank. And then they put a poster of like Jane Mansfield over the hole. Then they eventually crawl and get out and come out of a sewer, and then it's raining, and yeah.
My only PR advice, and I'm not an expert, is just stop comparing yourself to people. That would be my number one advice. Just stop. So again, this is when we learn that Sandoval hasn't spoken with Raquel in 3 weeks. And now we know that she completely cut him off. She's like, I'm extending this rehab. That was wise. That was wise from a mental health perspective. It was wise from a get me my money. If I am going to be a villain, I am going to be paid properly by Bravo. Sandoval also makes a comment that just reminds you that he has not learned anything yet. He says that the people closest to you hurt you the most. My friend.
Kind of like what he did.
What are you talking about? They are reacting to the hurt that you caused. I'm going to lose my mind.
He does not get it. He does not get it. And when he, at the end of the last episode, when he was talking to Sheena, and she's like, you sound like a narcissist. And he goes, yeah, because that's what Lala is. Okay, well, number one, nobody was talking about Lala. And then when he was like, oh, this wouldn't have happened. Like, if you just wouldn't have had that guy on your podcast, she's like, oh, this wouldn't have happened if you would have fucked Raquel. And then he said under his breath, oh, I guess that's the thing now. Are you new? Is that a thing now? That's the thing.
I love Sheena, though. She's like, well, a narcissist wouldn't admit that they're a narcissist. I mean, good.
I gotta go. Yeah.
I love her little frog voice. Good as gold. So anyway, he also mentions that, he also mentions that the best part of hanging out with Raquel, it wasn't the sex. It was hanging out and talking. What did they talk about? What did these two people talk about? How
beautiful Tom Sandoval is. That's what they talked about. They talked about their favorite subject, Tom Sandoval.
And she was like, I didn't get to have the ice cream party in school because I didn't do well in math. And he's like, dude, I'll get you ice cream. She's like, yeah, thanks. That's it. I mean, I cannot even imagine the conversation between these two people.
I think you just wrapped it up right there. That's all we
Sure
need to
did.
know.
Back to the pool party. And we're going to talk about what everyone wants to talk about, alcoholism. It's the best topic to bring up at a pool party. Love it.
Fun.
So Lala is talking about rock bottom, and they revisit her rock bottom, which I get. I don't need this on my TV. And I'm going to preface this by saying I am someone that does not drink. I went to AA. I did the AA thing for a bit. I am like James, I am California sober, but I am not shotgunning weed drinks, which is a big difference. There's a difference between being California sober and replacing alcohol for weed. Two very different things here. Do not need this on TV. So again, we see James shotgunning basically a weed cocktail.
I didn't know what that was. I was like, is he shotgunning Celsius? Because we keep seeing Celsius.
No, you can tell by the tops, because the tops are a little different, because it's this like black thing that clicks back. It's harder to get open basically because of children. Okay. Smart.
Okay.
So it probably has some amount of THC in it, and they're good. Like you would enjoy one. I don't know, but shotgunning that? But also I don't understand his behavior for someone who is on a lot of weed, because he's so amped up. I'm like, are you also taking too much Adderall or something? Because he's a little too jacked for someone that's sipping weed drinks.
You could go back to every season of this show and try to figure out what people are on it. And usually a lot of them, it's Coke, but you can't. In this, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know, my husband is 9 years sober, so I have a lot of thoughts about, you know, that like I'm sober yet I'm going to pretend to shot. It's like you're continuing to pretend to do the things that you did when you were drinking. Then I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's usually that the alcohol and anything like this is usually it's a way to cope. At least for me, with other underlying issues, there's a root cause. It's not that you like love, most people don't love alcohol and blacking out. It's something else is going on that you have to kind of get to the root to in order to not replace alcohol with another harmful behavior. But anyway, he's doing that. The fire on the grill is out of control. It is going off. And that feels like a metaphor for James's life. You know what I mean?
And then he made a joke about, let me get that little bitch in the back, like the burger. And everybody just thought it was the funniest thing. Yeah. He's so happy to have friends. He's so happy to have friends.
He is so happy. And to finally have a pool party, because remember, he wasn't invited to Tom Sandoval's pool party, which is his storyline for the season. So this was his beautiful 3-episode arc or whatever. So congratulations. Your house underneath the airport is doing great. So the girls are in the pool, and Sheena fills in Katie and Ariana on the talk that she just had with Lala at Lisa's house. And Ariana is just, right away when Sheena starts talking, she is just shaking her head and saying Lisa's brother and Tom are not the same people. He hasn't taken any responsibility. And she seems just really shaken up by this whole thing, because in a normal situation, if you broke up with someone, you would divide up the friend group if it was, acrimonious, and then you would move on. But you're on a TV show where you can't do that, which sucks. And it's kind of hard because you're seeing a little bit of pushback against Ariana online. You know, we can't let someone have a comeback story for too long. But I also think she has some very fair points, that it's annoying how Tom's trying to worm his way back in the group, and that he caused this.
Right.
You know,
every time anything is brought up, she'll say, he is the cause. Like, they'll go, well, we should not include her in this. She's like, he is the cause. I am not the cause. Like, you know what I mean? She's just like, what aren't we getting here? And so I can understand her she sees what Lisa's doing. She's like, okay, because it's the show. She's the producer. She wants it to not fade away, as Meredith has predicted it's going to do. She wants it to keep going. And so, of course, she wants Sandoval to stay in the group because, number one, it's great for ratings to have him around. And, number two, keep the core cast together. I mean, you've noticed everything they're doing this year is on the core cast. They don't have those shots of 400 people. It's just the core people. We're only missing Jackson Stassi from the whole group. You know
And
what I
are we
mean?
missing Jax? Are we really missing Jax?
Well, we're not going to miss him for long because don't forget the Valley is
The
coming.
Valley. Take a shot at parenthood or whatever the line is.
Okay.
Jax. So,
Jax, get in here. Come on now.
Jax, you're supposed to be mowing the lawn. And she's in some like Forever
Ball
21 ball gown. Ugh, I can't. I just cannot. So I think Ariana has fair points. I also think it's fair to say that she is setting boundaries, and that is totally fair. And people need to recognize that. I don't know if I love the whole Katie and Ariana kind of trying to cast the show. That I don't love. You know, I don't know how this works. You know, I don't see how everyone coexists on the show without something having to give, without Tom needing to leave or something.
Well, I think
what I mean?
we'll see a good example of it when the new season of Real Housewives of New Jersey comes out, right? Because Melissa and Teresa do not speak, and they have to film this entire show around these two people that have so many friends in common, but aren't going to speak. So at some point, you have to be like, okay, we'll be in the same place. We just won't talk. I'll just pretend he's an extra. He'll pretend I'm an extra, right? They either have to come to that conclusion, but if she's really going to say, I'm never going to film in a scene where he is there, then because he doesn't care. He wants to keep it going. Yeah. But if that is her hill to die on, and she's only going to film when he is not present, they're going to have a problem eventually. For right now, it's okay.
What's also crazy is didn't they pick up filming like 4 or 5 months later?
Yeah.
Like this wasn't a year later. And I think one of the things that's hurt this whole thing is too much played out online and on podcasts before this season aired. And I think that was kind of hurt it. I mean, it didn't hurt these individual people who made money, but for the show, I don't think it was great for the show because you do feel like, holy shit, this has been going on forever, because it has. It's almost been a year since we found out. You know, it's going to be like, where were you when JFK was assassinated? It's like, where were you when the Tom Sandoval news broke? And
I was at my sister's house.
I was on a flight to Boston, and I remember landing, going to Cape Cod, and I pulled she's technically my cousin-in-law, but I call her my sister-in-law, Akka, over, and I said, I have to talk to you about Tom Sandoval. And she said, who is Tom Sandoval? I said, oh boy, sit down. We're going to be in for the long haul. And she was hooked by the end. She was like, do we have any more updates? The whole weekend I was there. So,
my sister and I were on Watch What Happens Live asking the question the night that it happened, just because that's just the slot that we got. And we asked the question. I asked the question, Raquel, is there anybody else on Bravo that you'd be interested in dating besides Tom Schwartz? And her answer was, it's just so-and-so from Summer House is cute. Or I don't know what she said. That night, they went to the bar. Sheena gets a text from Ariana that she just found this sex tape on Tom's phone of Raquel. Raquel comes out. Sheena, knock the shit out of that bitch and put her phone in the bushes. That's what happened. That is the night. I was on Watch What Happens Live with my sister asking that question.
You're like Forrest Gump when he just shows up in all these momentous moments in history. It's just you.
Yes. So then when all this went down and happened, I did like an emergency with Mandy Slutzker, which was still my number 1 rated podcast of all last year.
You go, girl. Breaking news, #journalism.
Had to do it, sat down with Mandy and did an emergency podcast from there. Then I remember, explaining everything like to my sister. And she's like, now, which one was Sheena? I was like, okay, forget it.
Oh boy. Yeah. There's no help in that one.
So she's the one that you said, Sheena, you look great. And then I asked the question because they let you because they tell you the question. Spoiler alert. They tell you the question. So, but they say, you can say something beforehand like, hey, Andy, or whatever. Like you can make it cute. So my sister and I came on screen and we did our cheers. Cheers, Andy. And Tay said, Sheena, you look great. And I was like, Raquel, my question's for you. That's what we did.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. We worked it out. And then who knew we were part of history?
Who knew you were part of herstory? So moving on from the pool party, we're going to go to Lala's house so that we can talk about sobriety. And it does feel like because Lala can't have Ocean on the screen and she's trying to, this is like Lala's a good person now. She's not going to fly off the handle. And so it really feels like
she's trying.
Like James's sobriety is going to be her storyline, which I don't love. And she asks him about his rock bottom and he gets kind of defensive, but I also understand because he's like, I don't maybe want to get into details about this on national TV. And he kind of says something like, listen, I'll tell you things in confidence, but basically it was just, everything that happened. But also
over and over in confidence, don't tell anybody. I was like, do you see the two guys in cargo shorts with cameras filming you?
This is but I think, and this is why I think I get so annoyed when people want to be the kind of the mayor of AA and stuff, because everyone, it's so dangerous potentially because everyone's rock bottom is not the same. Not everyone has this really some people are just like, wow, that felt bad. This is it for me. It's not.
She just wanted to know the scoop of what happened to make him choose sobriety again. Just the third time he's done it. She was just like, what happened this time? She just wants to know. She's just nosy.
Yeah. And what also really, like, this is the part where I went, she asks if it's a forever thing, which is like the number one thing they tell you not to do is to ask someone if they're going to not drink forever because it's too much pressure. No one can make that promise, but you can make the promise that you're not going to for the next hour, for the next day. That's why they say one day at a time.
I'm going to not drink today. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, you're setting James up. I just like, I want him to do well, but it's, I don't know. It gets me, but he does contradict himself because he says that I know this is shocking, but he says in the interview to us that, the first time he did it for Raquel, he did it for their relationship, but this time he's doing it for himself. But what he tells Lala is he's doing it for his relationship with Allie. Like, that's what he says. So like, I hope he's doing it for himself.
I don't know how many hours of film footage he has to see of himself to think, hey, I don't mix well with alcohol.
If you are,
I'm not a delight that anybody wants to be around when I'm drinking.
I just think with James, there's probably some dark, deep shit he needs to go through. Like, I think it's
all
probably
family based.
I think it's really serious. Like, I think he probably needs and I don't even say this as like gossipy. I think he probably needs like inpatient help. Like, there's something seriously going on here. Like, this is bad. But LOL at the idea that being sober will be a benefit to his DJing. I'm like, when did being sober ever, like, is that a thing?
I think being sober is a benefit to a lot of things, and probably just your job. If that's, if you just look at it like that's his job. That's his job. Maybe just he needs to be sober.
Like, gross motor skills. Wiki. I don't know.
And also, he could be more creative when he's just shotgunning those weed drinks. Sure.
Oh God. So again, they're having, these comments and Lala's talking about, look at the trajectory we're on. We were just two train wrecks of kids. We get the flashbacks too. I guess no one's working on their summer bodies, which was so rude. It was so rude. And James, I don't know if you remember
the time that Lala and James, when they were first on the show and they went and watched What Happens Live together. I don't know if you remember that, but it was live. It was when Watch What Happens Live was really live, 4 days a week or whatever. They didn't pre-tape a lot of it. Curse. Every other word was cursing. Everything was bleep, 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 bleep. And Andy was so mad at them. He was like, live TV, please stop. He was so mad. And he was like, I don't think they came back for 2 years. He was like, neither one of them can come back. He was really mad.
Listen, I will say one thing for Lala. She is no longer using a black scent. And I appreciate that. She has been on a journey. She's not using it as much.
I was about to say.
It used to be really, really bad. And that was uncomfortable. So yeah, they've been on this beautiful journey and look where they are now. Sure. Okay. Jinx.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh yeah. So then we go over to Tom Schwartz's apartment where Joe is cutting his hair. You know who Joe kind of reminds me of? She gives me a little bit of Lydia from Real Housewives of Orange County vibes.
Okay, I could see it.
She kind of gives me that feeling. So Tom Schwartz, because the big thing was, are they in a relationship? Was Tom in a relationship with this girl? And
they were. They were double dating with Sandoval and Raquel.
I know, but he still will not admit to it. He's like, we had a whirlwind romance. I don't know what that means as opposed to we went on some dates. But listen, they booked.
Yeah.
We know that much. They were
banging. Yeah.
And then Tom Sandoval comes over and I feel like Joe is doing too much because he walks in. She's like, oh my God. Hey, Tom Sandoval. Oh, I love your shirt. Oh my God. Great shirt. I mean, she's just amped.
Every single Vanderpump person that is not Schwartz or Sandoval hate her. Hate.
I could see why.
And they refer to her as Kristen Doute's crazy friend. And they said, if you're Kristen Doute's crazy friend, you got to be another brand of crazy.
Oh, that's not good. You know, she's a girl that's like, I'm a guy's girl. You know, you just know she says that. And
Kristen hates her too now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's funny to me though is she's really trying to earn her Chipotle gift card, and she keeps trying to talk and add to the conversation, and they just steamroll right over her. It's so many times of her starting to talk and not finishing her sentence, but they're discussing Tahoe because Tom Schwartz has planned this trip. He wants to bring everyone together on this cast trip. And of course, half the people are like, oh, hell no. But there are some people who have agreed. Lala and Sheena agreed because of Lisa Vanderpump, essentially forcing them into it. And so Brock is going to go, and James and Allie, Ariana and Katie, as we know right now, are not coming. And Tom Schwartz does a better job than Tom Sandoval's PR crisis rep in saying, listen, I think this is an opportunity for you to go, to hear people out, to not be reactive, like leave that version of you at home and, you know, have a conversation with, and he's like, Sandoval's like, oh yeah, Lala, I'm so sorry I gave you content for your podcast and merch. And Joe's like, yeah, exactly, Tom. Oh, he just never learns. You can lead a horse to water. He will never learn.
So I think it was Bravo by Betches, maybe. Lots of people posted yesterday the Sandoval quote about the O.J. Simpson and the George Floyd. Lots of people posted. I think it was Bravo by Betches. It was under one of those posts. Katie Maloney wrote, Tom Schwartz, how are you going to defend this?
It's fair, because I think the one thing that we are not talking about is Tom Schwartz says, and maybe this is true, that he's never going to ditch Sandoval. That's his best friend. That's his bud. Maybe that's true. But they're also in business together.
But I also think
they have like remortgaged homes and you know, and I think this really hurt, especially at that time, Sandy Schwartz and Sandy's. So I have to imagine Tom Sandoval sees maybe rehabbing, or Tom Schwartz sees rehabbing Tom Sandoval is kind of rehabbing himself and their businesses. Right. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. But, you know, I think what Lala said last week is correct. Like, one day you're going to look back and think, why didn't I ditch him then? Because he will turn around and do the same thing to you.
This is not a good friend.
You're dumb to think he won't do it to you when he's done it to everybody else. Yeah.
And I wonder in some weird way if Tom Schwartz wrongly thinks this makes him seem like a good guy because he's like trying to help the guy that's down, that no one, I don't know.
He has no choice. He has no choice but to stick with him because of the business. But he also, he can't be like, okay, I can't ditch my friend and business partner because he cheated on his girlfriend. Yeah, he's a piece of shit person, but we're also in business together. The tom of it all is like the two of them together, I think, have 5%. Like they're just there for PR purposes. But the Schwartz and Sandys, they actually own together. And you know, he has to stick with him for that, or he's got to buy him out and rename it to just Sandy's. I don't know.
None of them have money.
No, just Schwartz's. Sorry.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, could you imagine? He's like, oh shit, I kept the wrong name.
Oh, wrong Tom.
I forgot my name. So, and this was psychotic when Tom Sandoval said, because of people like Sheena and Lala, people followed their energy and they told people how to treat me. I think that is some bullshit. You think that Sheena, I don't think that's the progression of this. It came out what you did and people reacted to what you did.
None of them had podcasts or any of that till months later.
The idea that people were like, God, I really don't know how to feel about this, about Tom Sandoval cheating on Ariana with her best friend, Raquel, who's also the ex-fiance of Schwartz or Sandoval's friend, James. I don't really know how to feel about that. Who's in the wrong? Oh, thank God. Sheena Shea showed me the way. I had no idea how to feel.
I think I'll listen to Lala because she always shows good judgment. Let me check in with Lala and see what her opinion is. You know who I should check in with next? Jax.
I don't know how I feel about cheating. Like, who's in the wrong? Who's in the wrong here? Come. You have got the narrative he has written in his head. And even Tom Schwartz is perceptive enough to see that his tone and approach is bad. And what he's saying is bad. And
he tells him constantly.
And then Schwartz tries to talk to, because one thing that we didn't discuss is that Schwartz and Lala have like okay, we're cool now. We had fights last year where you were mean to me and I made fun of your puffy lips, and we're all good now though. We're all good. And for Schwartz, that moment with Lala at the pool party really helped him see that Lala's changing, because that's obviously like the storyline. And so Schwartz shares that experience with Joe and Sandoval. And Joe is just like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's good that it finally happened to her. Joe has it out for Lala. Joe does not like Lala.
It is Joe against the cast. The entire cast hates Joe, and Joe hates them.
Is it just
that we never have to see her again?
Why? Okay. Was there something specific? Was it her dating Schwartz? Was it her inserting herself? Was there a thing that happened with Joe, or just
you have really got to research this? But it's a whole thing between Katie Maloney has talked a lot about Joe. Joe has pure crackhead energy. She has posted like texts and stuff that Joe has sent her that are so fucking weird. She's like, she's got pure crackhead energy. She was like, when you're Kristen Doute's crazy friend, like you be crazy. Like you are crazy.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
I just could never remember. Again, it's so hard to remember. Like, I forgot that Lala and Schwartz had a big fight I mean, it's just, the show goes right out of my head. And I was like, what is the thing with Joe? But yeah, I don't like Joe's energy either. Speaking of energy and people that I would never hire to be my kid's sitter, let's go over to Sheena Shea's house for some babysitting. Tori's back. Tori, the actress / singer / model / babysitter, comes over for another babysitting gig, and Brock's in there with little Summer Moon. And then Brock looks at Summer, and he has his little stethoscopes on. He says, Summer, come here. I have to look at your hat. I can't do an Australian accent. It comes out Boston.
You went right into John from Boston.
I know. I can't help it. I can't help it. It's the mass hole in me. And then Tori picks up the little toy shot thing and says, do you do Ozempic shots? And Brock just looks at her.
Brock looks at her like, girl, it's wrong. Read the room.
He does that thing where he smiles when he says something, but it's just to kind of keep things calm. But he's very serious. He's like, bad convo around my kid. And he's trying to kind of smile and laugh it off. But it's like, oh, girl, don't try your tight five that you're doing at the stand-up comedy night tonight. Don't try it out on the toddler. Okay.
No. Also, you're not getting on this show. There's a long line. You're not in.
No, you're out. And so then Sheena's sister comes in, Courtney, and Courtney was at the pool party. I did not know who Courtney was. I
know who Courtney is.
And I was like, who the hell is this girl? And
I know
Courtney
Coco.
comes over. Yeah, Courtney comes over because she's going to help Tori babysit, because Sheena is still having trust issues with letting anyone besides her mother look after her child. And maybe she realizes that Tori needs some babysitting too. Maybe this was not her worst idea. So Sheena, Brock, James, and Allie go out to a brewery, because where else do you take someone new in sobriety? A brewery. This is a great idea.
And James doesn't drink, and Allie is sober curious, and Sheena's not drinking. So the only person having brews is Brock.
I wonder if this is the only place that they could find that would let them film or something. Like if it was a filming thing
or whatever.
And yeah, because he was like, welcome to our side. I can't even imagine how long it took James and Allie to get there. Again, I don't understand
hours.
a lot, but I understand that Marina Del Rey is not convenient for anyone, is what I've learned.
Right. Yes.
So they're discussing Tahoe and who's going, and Sheena fills them in about, again, the conversation at Lisa's house, and Lisa wants them to all go easier on Tom. And Allie says that she kind of understands that, because Allie mentions she's in a weird position. She doesn't have Tom has never done anything to her, but also he's treated her boyfriend really crappy, and she's friends with Ariana, and she wants to stay on the show. So she doesn't want to, look sympathetic to Tom Sandoval, but this is a weird situation, because she doesn't hate him. She doesn't have history with him, but she's kind of found herself in this situation. And I have to say, I feel like Brock was really laying it down this episode. Like, he may not pay child support, but Brock dropped some truth bombs.
He pays child support now.
Oh, he does. Okay, now. Yeah.
Now he does.
Listen, he might not see 2/3 of his children, but he has some. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't cancel me. Please don't. I keep forgetting this is not the paid tier. That's my fault.
Not. Okay, go ahead.
You know what, Ingrid? Keep it in. So Brock brings up a good point that it's kind of unfair. At least this is how I took what he was saying. It's unfair of Lisa to put pressure on Sheena and Lala to protect Tom Sandoval's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
right.
yeah. I feel like that is totally fair. And then Brock says part of the problem is because they're talking about it's not about Team Ariana, Team Sandoval. Brock says it's about what Tom did was wrong, and he needs to acknowledge it. There's a clear right and wrong
we
here.
want. That's all we want. We need some contrition. We need some humility. We're not getting it. That is what the problem is. This whole season would be different if he would just be like, fall on the sword. I did a terrible thing. I have hurt you. I am sorry that I have hurt you. Not just, I'm sorry if you were hurt.
And a reason he can't do it is because there's something going on. I'm not going to say he's a narcissist or not. I'm not going to armchair diagnose, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brock basically is like the oracle of this show. He's just said so many things this episode where I was like, wow. Okay, Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for you. So I was very into that. I think he really sees the situation. And Allie, another great new addition, says we can have empathy for someone who's struggling, but also they fucked up their entire lives.
That doesn't mean I have to be that person's friend. I could still have empathy for the fact that he's having some dark thoughts, and I don't want that. But that doesn't mean I have to be his best friend. But I will tell you, when we were at BravoCon in October, they stopped filming at the end of September. We know that because of thank you for Irina and the article. So when we saw them in October, and it was so palpable, the two sides, it's Brock, Sheena, Schwartz, and Sandoval on one side, everybody else on the other side. And it was very much seemed that Sheena and Brock had kind of come around to the Sandoval Schwartz way. Now, whether that was just to make me think that, I don't know, but it definitely didn't seem that the other couch was getting along with Sheena.
Oh boy. Boy. Yeah. We'll have to see if that plays out or how that plays out. Wow. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, we're almost done. And then James brings up the fact that Lisa really wants to talk to him for a couple of minutes. And everyone at the table is like, oh, she's going to have the Sandoval conversation with you. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I cannot watch another conversation about Tom Sandoval from Lisa Vanderpump. Like, I can't do it. It was not that. We go over to Vanderpump Dogs, and who runs out but a nicely groomed Graham. And when I tell you, the only thing that would have made this scene more depressing is if In the Arms of an Angel came on, like those.
You get the rights to that.
I know, but like those that Sarah McLachlan.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay, that was the only thing that could have made I teared up. I'm not going to lie, because you
didn't know it was coming because you didn't see last summer when we saw.
It was beautiful for me. It was beautiful for me.
Yeah,
it's beautiful for me.
Graham Cracker's name is now Hippy Dippy Doo.
Really?
I didn't just make that up. No, Graham Cracker's name is now Hippy Dippy Doo.
I'm not. No. Nope. I'm going to call him by his Christian name, by his birth name. He is Graham Cracker to me. So, yeah. So James goes through so much. He's happy, he's shocked, and then he sobs because it is so distressing. Because why is Graham here? There can't be a good reason. And I mean, Vanderpump does not make it easy. She's like, oh yes, there was this dog and yeah, he was abandoned and then he was in foster care and then he started biting people. And then they were going to send him to the shelter like Lucy, Apple Juicy. And so before they killed Graham, I swear, I mean, it just like, it's really, she really like lays it on. She does not sugarcoat what happened.
Do you know the true story of what happened with Graham Cracker?
I need to know because I was furious. I was literally shaking over this poor dog.
Yeah.
Unless nothing is true. Please tell me what happened.
Okay. So the story is now Raquel has always said that James was a terrible dog parent, and that's why she kept the dog in the breakup. That he, always played with the dog, tried to make the dog aggressive, and didn't take the dog out when it was supposed to go out. Like any training they got, he wouldn't follow up. And he was the one that was always trying to make Graham like bite, and like that was like fun, and it's not fun. Now, we know many people have said on many podcasts, Kristen Doty's podcast, Lala's, Sheena's, lots of people have said regarding Graham was always a very, very aggressive dog. That dog looks exactly like my dogs. It's some sort of doodle. It's pretty hard to make him aggressive. It would be very hard to make my dogs aggressive, like aggressively biting people.
It looks so nice.
Yeah. So
it's a golden doodle, right?
It's a golden doodle, or maybe it's a labradoodle. It's a mixture of two things that are sweet. So, anyway, what happened was Raquel took the dog. So, of course, when she left LA to go to Arizona, the dog was with her parents. And the dog bit her mother down to the bone.
Oh, I'm having flashbacks. I knew that happened.
Yes.
Keep going.
And because Raquel was in the facility, Raquel's mom gave the dog to like a local rescue, like a doodle rescue, right? We have them here, a doodle rescue of some kind. Somehow from the doodle rescue, Graham then goes to like a foster home where he then proceeds to bite those people. Then those people put him in like a local shelter. At the local shelter, they found out from his chip that he came from Vanderpump Dogs. And they call Vanderpump Dogs, ask, do you want this dog back? Now, I mean, I don't even know. I guess they're in Arizona at this point. Do you want this dog back? And if so, how can we do this, whatever. Now, meanwhile, Raquel has found out all of this. She's trying to figure out where the dog is, what her mother did because mom sent the dog to the doodle rescue, who then put the dog in foster care, So what the people should have done is return the dog to the doodle rescue. Okay. So then Lisa Vanderpump, because the dog is chipped and somehow returned to her. And then she decided to make it a storyline for the show to return the dog to James. And James and Allie have renamed the dog Hippy Dippy Doo.
Yeah, so what makes me sad is that dog just clearly needed better training and consistent training, whether it was James or Raquel or anyone's fault, or they just had never owned dogs before, whatever it was, that dog was not well trained and acted in a way that dogs do when they're not well trained, which is unfortunate, which is very unfortunate. I'm saying bad parenting.
It's definitely not Hippy's fault.
Bad parenting from both of them. I know I see that we're going to see next week that, Graham is maybe having a hard time with the cats and that they're going to need to train him. And I really hope with Allie's influence as the stepmother that she can come in and kind of like Jane Fonda's first or second stepmother kind of came in and rescued her after her mother passed and they were with Henry.
That's a real current reference.
Current references only.
Jane Fonda is 88 and you're like, with Jane Fonda's stepmother.
I'm like, can we talk about one of Henry Fonda's second or third wife, please? Can we go back? I know. Wow. I just went so far back. You can see where I've been researching and spending my time recently. Ask me anything about Jane Fonda. So that was weird. Current references only. Remember, I'm 36. And I hope Allie can be a positive presence and, be around to really help train. And, if James is sober, this should go a lot better because you don't really. And
they're not in an apartment. Remember too, because they were in an apartment and they had a puppy.
Makes it so hard.
That's hard. So I think that them having a yard and having Allie as maybe a calming presence. And then listen, I don't know what's going to happen with the cat. They're going to have to learn to get along. And that's not my problem.
Listen, the dog went from an apartment to 3.5 feet of AstroTurf. This is heaven. Yes. This is everything a dog could ever want. I do think Allie will lay it down. Allie is going to make this work. I believe in Allie. She's going to read the dog's star chart. She's going to figure out how to work with Hippy Dippy, Doodle Graham, Cracker Dude, and make it work. Hippy Dippy Doo. Why would you name a dog that? If your dog is bad, are you yelling outside, Hippy Dippy Doo? You have to think about, like a child, when you name a child, what is it going to sound like when you scream their name? You have to think about that.
I don't know why. I mean, Graham is a great name for that dog, but
Classic.
they renamed Tippy Tippy Doo, and so that's the dog's name.
God, why can't we have a George these days? Or a Christopher?
You know whose
A
name
dog
is
named
George?
Christopher.
My new baby
Whose name?
nephew. His name is George.
Oh my God, that's so cute. I love
And
when
he's
babies
such a
have
big bubba. Oh, I just want to squeeze him. He's so cute.
I love when babies have like big people names. I love it.
I used to work with a woman named starts with a Z. It just went out of my head. Not Juanita, but
Yeah, Juanita's usually with a J, I think.
yeah, no, this was with a Z. Okay, it'll come to me in a second. But let's pretend it's Juanita. She's like, I just cannot imagine my mother's thoughts in her head. And she gave birth to me and looked down and was like, look at little baby Juanita. Look at her. Look at her. She's like, what would make you
Sometimes you
name
do
a
wonder.
baby Juanita?
Is that like Manhattan Barbie?
Nothing is shocking. You guys,
Manhattan
on
Barbie.
Life After Lockup, one of our couples named their daughter Manhattan Barbie. And they call her Maddie, so at least they call her Maddie.
Okay, that's cute.
But that's good.
I'll give them that.
Maddie's cute. But
oh man. Yeah.
All right, between Manhattan Barbie and Hippy Dippy Doo, which way are you going?
See the Maddie nickname though.
Yeah.
I feel like I would just be like, it's a family name, Manhattan Barbie.
My dad ran Mattel, so
yeah, it's our wealth is concentrated in Manhattan real estate. Manhattan Barbie. That's what I would say. If my kid had a crazy name, I'd be like, it's a family name.
I mean,
that's all you have to say.
I will say that I did see your TikTok that you did about Riley from the PR firm, and
Yes.
I'm going to leave it up to you to find her. We're going to circle back around on that this weekend, and you're going to let me know if you found Riley, because she's got to be out there telling her story. She has to be. Anne's already gone out there telling her story.
There's a couple of, I think, leads that I can dig into. There's a couple of clues in the article that I'm going to try to pull those threads and see if I can come up with it, because I apply, my research skills to media literacy and, the unchecked power of, institutions and Sandoval. I have a wide array of interests, and Jane Fonda's many stepmothers.
I do have one question for you, because on the TikTok where you're talking about the Riley from the PR firm, you mentioned Prince William said something wrong at the BAFTAs. I don't know what it is. Can you tell me what it is?
Girl,
I don't know.
Girl, it is so good. I mean, the Daily Mail, which is notorious for not going hard on the senior royals. I mean, even they were like, oh, we got to talk about this Prince William. It's news. So basically what happened is Prince William is president of the BAFTAs because they all have these patronages and everything. And he went alone, obviously, because Kate is recovering from a surgery that the media actually isn't invading her privacy. It's like the best kept secret ever. It's strange, actually, from media behavioral standpoint. So the
BAFTAs are like the Oscars. It's like the Academy Awards.
Yes, the British awards. So in TV and film and everything. So he goes, and obviously he's going to have like photo ops with people. And his people were thinking, okay, this is a perfect opportunity. We're going to get Prince William with a diverse bunch of women. It's the girl who played Daphne Bridgerton. It is Ayo Adebri. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. From the Bear. Yeah, it's another woman of color. And then there's a girl that I think won, a woman who is in the movie How to Have Sex. So they're making small talk because obviously you want that picture. You want that, soundbite.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he basically says like, oh, it must have been really fun filming How to Have Sex, because the title, he kind of channeled a little Randy Andy when the end of the movie, though, and he admits he hasn't seen the movie. Okay. The movie ends in a trigger warning rape scene of the main character. So
of the girl he's talking to, and he says it must have been fun to film that.
Yeah, sure did. And people, this is bad. And so at first my thought was like, oh my God, who is on his PR team? Like, you're supposed to prevent this. These people get advanced material. You get prep that you're supposed to go through so that this does not happen when you're at an event. And you usually have someone with you to try to prevent
How about don't make a cheeky joke about the name of this movie?
Exactly. Yeah. But then I found out that there's been a lot of speculation and articles written over the past couple of years that William just ignores his advanced briefings, like doesn't look at them, doesn't read them. And so what I was saying in terms of Sandoval is with the people that you have hired to help you, there is responsibility on the client to not be a screw up. But also if you know that your client is someone that says dumb shit or doesn't read the advanced briefings, like you have to then work differently to prevent your client from making headlines for saying really dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened. They both got headlines for saying really boneheaded, dumb things.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay. All right. So it reminds me of what's his name that stands behind Julia Louis-Dreyfus on Veep.
Yes. Everyone was saying that, is his name Hale, like last name Hale?
It's Tony Hale. Yeah.
Tony Hale. Yeah. People were saying that that's who both these people needed with them. And I said, they needed Tree Payne because listen, if Prince William had made that gaffe, Tree Payne, Taylor Swift's PR person who made sure that
I was about to say, who is that? Yeah. Okay.
Tree Payne is the one basically after Taylor looked like she snubbed Celine Dion, which was a very weird moment. Not 10 minutes later, there's a picture on social media of Taylor Swift hugging, Celine Dion, like nestled into her bosom with gratitude.
After she did not acknowledge her on the stage.
Were like, it was like the best thing you could have done. It gave exactly what fans needed to say. Don't believe everything you say. Tree Payne, if William had made that remark, William would have been nuzzled in the bosom of the director of How to Have Sex. And it would be a whole caption about how important it is to have these series. Like Tree Payne would have handled it. It would have gotten handled. That's what I'm saying. Everyone needs a Tree Payne.
Is Tree short for Teresa?
I'm going to assume so. At first, I thought that people were saying that Taylor Swift's publicist was T-Pain, and I was very confused. I said, I did not know he took that kind of career shift. What a great idea.
And is Payne Payne?
I think it's Paine. I don't think, I think it's like Payne, like Thomas Paine. Isn't that how you spell Thomas Paine? Or is that wrong?
I don't know.
Little Thomas Paine talk. Yeah. So Tree Payne, she looks a lot like Jennifer Psaki, who what did she do? Was she
I don't know.
Was she the White House like press secretary?
Okay, so you've just now gone like
I've just gone everywhere. That's who Tree Payne looks like. She has red hair. She is pale and she is tall.
She's a business lady doing business things, and she's taking care of her business.
She takes care of it. Okay. Olivia Pope would hire that woman. She would say white hats only. We would go do it. Okay. These are the kind of people we need.
Okay. All right. So Sandoval can't afford Tree Payne, nor would she lower herself, it seems.
No.
But Prince William, maybe.
It's amazing actually how you would think like royals and you would think that these comms teams would be so efficient. It's amazing how inept they continue to be. And but
you know what? What would you do without it? You wouldn't have anything to laugh about. You specifically.
That's fair. So thank you, Prince William, for that.
Making your week. You guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Meredith has a great TikTok where she talks a lot about the royals and media literacy and how dumb the Daily Mail is on the daily basis. Do you ever listen to the Daily Fail with Kristen Meisner?
Yeah, I'm friends with Kristen.
Me too.
She's oh my God, she's one of the best people. She is so nice, and the Daily Fail is so good. And yeah, if you like the Daily Fail, you'll probably like what I do on TikTok.
I think it's very similar. That's why I was bringing it up to see if, when I say I'm friends with her, I mean I interviewed her twice. So
she's awesome. She's great.
I'm not claiming Kristen Meisner as a friend. I'm just saying that I interviewed her.
I'm claiming her.
Okay, you claim her.
She was misgendered in Tom Bauer's book, Revenge, about Harry and Meghan. We talked about that once. So Tom Bauer is a terrible royal biographer. He's trash. And he wrote this book, and some of the mistakes that were made were like, yikes, like this wasn't caught by a copy editor or anyone. And one of the things is Kristen Meinzer, Tom Bauer refers to, because she covered Harry and Meghan's wedding and stuff. And for some reason he talks about her. He refers to her as a he. And if you go on Kristen Meinzer's X, Twitter, whatever, her pronouns are right there. Like this would not be a hard thing to figure out.
Or
And
to
yet,
just
for
do a
whatever
slight
reason,
Google, just a small Google.
get on the Google. Yeah. So we talked about that because that was a weird moment for her, and I can understand that.
So, you guys, back to Meredith. Follow Meredith on the TikTok at Meredith Constant. You can follow me on the TikTok at Pink Shade Podcast and Instagram at Pink Shade Pod. Meredith Constant, you can find her everywhere. And you can also hear her on the weekends. She talks to me on Hey Bunky, which is the $5 level of Pink Shade Prime. I have one more thing to plug and then we're going to go.
Yes.
You ready?
Okay.
I have made, because of you encouraging me, I have gotten a brand partnership with Hello Skincare because I'm so obsessed with Hello Lash. I've used it for a couple of years and I told you I'm obsessed with this product. How do I get like something going with them so I could promote it and it'll be beneficial for both of us? And you told me how to do it and I did it. And they were like, absolutely, let's partner up. So in the show notes, you will see a link. You can click on that link and then you can use code PinkShade10. You'll get 10% off on Hello Lash Serum. I use it every night. My eyelashes are, I'm not lying, are probably doubled thickness, size, length, all the things. I put on mascara and it's like I have false lashes on for real.
And that's why I know, because you would not have gone to the lengths you went to if you did not love this product.
To track them down. Like I asked them.
We literally 2 weeks ago on our episode spent the last 15 minutes of me trying to see if they had an affiliate link for Mary Payne. Like we went and looked into this. So that's how I know that you are passionate about this product. You sought them out because you want to use it more. I mean, I think that's one of the best recs. That's one of the best recs. I mean,
I sought them out because I was like, please let me tell people about you.
And that took less than 2 weeks. That's why I'm saying, even if you're like, I don't really know if a brand is going to want to work with me, I don't know if I'm big enough, it never hurts to ask.
Never hurts to ask. They were
a brand really wants someone that's going to be passionate about their stuff and use it and plug it. So if you love something, that's a win for a brand.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So anyway, if you guys want to try it out, you get 10% off. Click the link. The code is PinkShade10. All of that is in the show notes. And Meredith, I will talk to you this weekend.
See you later.
Bye. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.